the winner of those two respective games will pick up the 8th seed in the standard bracket. So Sacramento, they have their season come to an end, and Monty McNair is looking for a new job. Shortly after Sacramento's season came to an end, a mutual decision was made for Monty McNair to move on. He had been the general manager of the club.
Bundle auto insurance or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley with the SportsGrid Sports Flash.
Have you heard? Kohl's has 2 exclusive new home brands, Mariana and Mingle & Co. From luxe favorites that are all about turning your space into a sanctuary to fun mix and match dining essentials, there's so much to discover, and trust me, you're gonna love everything. Plus, you can get an extra 15% off throughout the store and earn Kohl's cash. So hurry to Kohl's today and bring it home for less. Select styles, some exclusions apply. Offer ends April 19th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
How many SportsGrid listeners does it take to change a light bulb?
It takes 2.
1 to change the light bulb, and 1 to see if our mobile app can provide the same amount of light. Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC all across the SportsGrid Radio Network and Sirius XM Channel 159. He is the mastermind of the pigskin. That's a feisty Joe Lisi on this Thursday. I am Ben Stevens. This Thursday, exactly 1 week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Our opening night, our opening round, exactly 7 days away in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A ton of draft discussions here over the next hour up until 1 p.m. Eastern time. We're the college stars of yesterday now. We're trying to be the NFL stars of tomorrow, taking that leap to the next level. But Joe will also talk some college football as well in this hour with the spring transfer portal window opening up yesterday on Wednesday. A lot to dive into here up until 1 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid Radio.
Yeah, this is it right now. The calm before the storm. We have a week out. Next Thursday, we'll be covering first round action, what transpires in regards to any type of, trades that take place. Everybody's throwing out some trades. Did you see the latest involving Devontae Smith and the Philadelphia Eagles, which is absolutely ridiculous? But that's what happens now. People have storylines. They want to get all eyes on the product and potentially these draft picks, and we'll see what transpires. I will say this. You did hear comments about Joe Schoen and say that, their moves for the New York Giants really don't need to be, let's say, at the forefront to get a quarterback in the first round. I think that was telling, and I think there is some truth to that. But again, we'll see what the Giants do, number 3 overall. I wouldn't be shocked, Ben, if they trade out of the pick, if one of these teams reaches up to potentially get Shedeur Sanders or another quarterback.
That will be part of our conversation today. Lisi Guy, 1 week out from the start of the 2025 NFL Draft. I would say some of the main headlines and themes, the storylines that will be discussed. Shedeur Sanders, the individual. Where does he go? Where does he fall in the NFL Draft? Which NFL franchise picks him? I would also say the amount of quarterbacks we see in the opening round is going to be very telling. And then last and finally for me, Joe, the lack of trades that we have seen among NFL teams in terms of the draft order so far this offseason. In the league year, which began back in the middle of March, Joe, this is the first time in NFL history in the modern era of the draft when it became 7 rounds each and every year back in 1994, since the NFL added its 32nd club back in 2002 with the Houston Texans. This is the first time the league year has started in every NFL franchise. All 32 teams have their original first-round pick. and we're still just a week away from the 2025 NFL Draft. Are we going to see any trades? Are we going to see a team move up that draft board, a team trade out of their pick? Will that happen before the draft? I'm not so sure. I think, Lisi, the question of movement really becomes a story on draft night exactly 1 week from now.
Yeah, how many actual teams are willing to move up? That is the biggest question, and not just in terms of the top 5, right? We only think there's maybe 1 or 2 potential teams that are in desperate need of a quarterback, and that's New Orleans and Pittsburgh, respectively. Those two we can see potentially maybe jumping up into the top 5 to get their starter for week number 1. Outside of that, there's probably not going to be any movement outside both of those teams to steal, one of those picks in the top 5. But those picks maybe from 10 after you get past the Saints to maybe like 21, the middle of the market, the middle of that draft round, that's where I think you could potentially see some movement. Is it a running back maybe that teams are, reaching up and grabbing? I don't personally think, Ben, it's a very deep wide receiver class like we had over the previous couple of seasons. It's a deep tight end class. We know Ty Warren. It's a potentially good defensive end and tackle class. So we'll see what transpires. But if I had a bet right now, first round trades, I still think we maybe see 2 or 3 play out over the course of next Thursday night.
And a lot of flurries can happen on draft night. To Joe's point, oftentimes when a team moves up the draft board, especially top 5, top 10, in that ballpark, in that range, they're hunting down a quarterback. Is there a quarterback that will be available after that number 1 overall pick? More than likely is Cam Ward that a team would trade up for. Namely, that will be Shedeur Sanders. We'll continue to have that Shedeur Sanders conversation in just a moment. Lisa, guy, the top 5 of the NFL draft board looks like this. The Titans 1, the Browns 2, Giants 3, Patriots 4, Jaguars picking 5th. The odds board, as it pertains to those draft selections, are as such. Cam Ward, minus 20,000 favorite to be that first overall selection. Travis Hunter, now a minus 470 favorite to be that second overall pick. Abdul Carter, minus 400 to go third overall. Will Campbell, minus 185 to be the fourth overall selection. And Mason Graham at minus 140 to go fifth overall. Lisi, as you see, some pretty stark minus money prices in the entirety of the top 5. Do you believe, as the odds makers expect, the top 5 come exactly 1 week from now in Green Bay will look exactly like that?
No. I think Shedeur is the outlier at number 1. And I think, potentially, Mason Graham is a good and very productive defensive tackle. But I don't know if he's going to be, valued as much as maybe some other players. And again, outside wide receiver, and you look at just an offensive perspective, Will Campbell and the offensive linemen from Missouri are coveted. You have to protect your quarterbacks as well. We know that the run game has been big in terms of NFL getting back to running the football consistently. So it wouldn't shock me if they don't opt for defense and they opt for more offensive linemen and potentially a quarterback, right? I still think Shedeur, in terms of the value, top 5, I'm willing to make that bet because I don't think New Orleans or Pittsburgh, Ben, can afford to just sit back and say, you know what? Let's see what happens, right? Let's see what happens. And here's the other thing, too. Another trade rumor was potentially Derek Carr to Cleveland. If that's the case, I mean, then you sign, seal, delivered it, plus basically, 3-1 for Shedeur Sanders? It's great value at this point.
Plus 260 right now for Sanders to be a top 5 pick. He is a minus 210 favorite to be a top 10 selection. Minus 250 now, the odds working in his favor. So maybe not in the first 5, but certainly in the first 10 is what we are thinking from the odds perspective. So, Joe, let's have that Shedeur Sanders conversation. Today, one final private workout in Boulder, Colorado. The New York Giants will be in attendance. Some have said, do not close the book on Sanders going third overall to the G-Men, despite the fact that New York has signed Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston this offseason already. Plus 650, the price on Sanders to be that third overall pick. Lisi, do you still believe there's a chance that Shedeur Sanders could end up with the Giants?
The Giants, no. No. Could he fall at number 3? Absolutely. I do not believe that would be like a complete 360, right? We'll acquire Jameis, we'll acquire Russell Wilson, and now we're going to get the 4th quarterback on the roster and waste money in cap space. Why would you even take that option at this point in the season? You know, the game plan has been set. They're going to go with 2 veteran quarterbacks and hopefully, you know, play out the season, challenge for a wild card. But at the end of the day, I just don't know that was the right decision. Do I believe Sanders is a top 3 pick? I actually do, based off of these quarterbacks in this draft, but that's very difficult. You know, do the Giants pull the trigger? They'd be better off with Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter to get immediate wins in 2025.
Yeah, it is really interesting, Joe. If they were to draft a quarterback 3rd overall, which of course is not likely at this moment, you would have to ask the question, then why did you make the previous maneuver, signing both Jameis and Russ, especially spending more than $20 million on Russell Wilson? Why do that than just to draft a quarterback early if that was your plan in place all along? We'll have the Shedeur Sanders conversation, the biggest figure in the NFL draft in terms of how that odds board might move. Up next.
4 out of 5 scientists agree it's smarter to be on SportsGrid, and we're pretty sure that one scientist is still a virgin. He just gives that vibe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. An airplane engine burst into flame after reportedly striking an animal on departure from Denver International Airport, prompting pilots to make an emergency landing over the weekend. The FAA says the United Airlines flight bound for Canada landed safely Sunday without reports of any injuries. Eric and Lyle Menendez could learn this week whether they'll get reduced sentences nearly 30 years after they were convicted of murdering their parents. A Los Angeles judge will preside over the resentencing hearing. If the judge shortens their sentences, the brothers would still need approval from the state parole board to get out of prison. Measles cases have continued to surge in Texas since the outbreak first began in late January. State health officials reported 561 confirmed cases across 23 counties on Tuesday. Cases in Gaines County, the center of the outbreak in West Texas, jumped from 355 to 364. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation You forgets all your worries. Vacation You doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But Regular You knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation You doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation You and Regular You really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
There's something you should know and always remember. SportsGrid does not increase luck. We're your unfair advantage for the latest sports gaming information. If you're looking for luck, go find a horseshoe. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, 1 week away from the start of the 2025 NFL Draft. And one of the main questions entering next Thursday in Green Bay for night number 1, round number 1, where will Shedeur Sanders go? To which NFL team? And where exactly in that draft order? Today, one final workout in Boulder, Colorado, for Sanders in front of the New York Giants and maybe a few other NFL franchises. Lisi, as we paint the picture of Shedeur Sanders' odds, which might be more than likely how the NFL draft follows suits, here are the numbers on Shedeur. Again, plus 260 to be a top 5 pick, but minus 250 to be a top 10 selection. The team that is most likely to draft Shedeur Sanders at a plus 130 number, that's the New Orleans Saints. The second most likely price, a 4-1 ticket on the Pittsburgh Steelers. the New York Giants at plus 410 round that out. Lisa, if I asked you to peer into your crystal ball as we get ready for the NFL draft next week, and I were to say, tell me the team and tell me at what overall pick Shedeur Sanders is taken, what would you say?
I would say number 3 to the Saints. I think they're going to reach up and grab him. I really do. I think the Saints are nervous. They have a first-year head coach. They have no future with Derek Carr whatsoever, and they can't afford to miss out on a quarterback and just play out the season. That's what they've been doing with Dennis Allen, right? I mean, there's no difference. If they were to go through with Derek Carr, there's no different than what they're playing out with now Kellen Moore at the helm, just a different head coach. You're going to cap out at some point. You're in a major rebuild. The defense is old. One player isn't going to turn that around for your organization. But with a first-year head coach, an offensive mind, and a new quarterback that potentially you can have for 5 to 6 to 10 years, why not draft them in the top 5 and see what you have? If you're wrong with that assessment, at least you rolled the dice. If you just play it out and say, we'll get an offensive lineman, a linebacker, I'm just throwing it out, running back, Gentile, that's not going to move the needle for the Saints. It might win them a division title, but they're still stuck with Derek Carr plateauing out, and they don't even know what they have as an offensive identity. Get the quarterback, see if you can win or build it up for your number 2, and now you're ahead of the game as opposed to just being stuck in neutral.
Logistically, that would make a lot of sense, right? First-year rookie head coach in Kellen Moore, a new era in the Big Easy in New Orleans. For Moore, who is the young offensive mastermind of which he has earned this head coaching gig. It would make a lot of sense for that rookie head coach to have a rookie quarterback to hitch his wagon to. Those two together, if successful, that's the start of a new era, Joe, for the Saints that could be successful, much like Sean Payton and Drew Brees. Very high standards, I understand, but the logistical sense behind that type of decision-making would track at least to the nth of its degree. So now, Lisi, let me ask you, in that scenario, the Saints trade up from number 9 overall to number 3 overall with the New York Giants. What happens at 1 and 2 in your estimation in your mock draft?
Then Cam Ward is a no-brainer at number 1, and number 1. Number 2, I always take Travis Hunter. I mean, it's not a knock against Abdul Carter, but Travis Hunter could be that guy to bring that electricity back to Cleveland, right? That's the biggest thing is that, you have Myles Garrett. You couldn't win with them, obviously, without the quarterbacks. You know that you have Kenny Pickett. But as long as you take Travis Hunter, you have a player that's versatile enough to bring the electricity back, the productivity back on the offensive side of the ball, potentially, depending upon how they utilize him. And if they utilize him as just a straight corner, you take away a third of the football field for potential quarterbacks like Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow that you have to obviously compete in the AFC North. So for me, it's a no-brainer, Ben. I do believe Travis Hunter is a better upside than Abdul Carter. Not a lot, but I just think for his versatility, sure, I think he's a little bit better than Abdul Carter for the Cleveland Browns.
And Hunter is now a minus 470 favorite to go second overall, the pick the Browns have. Speaking of Cleveland, earlier this afternoon, Browns GM Andrew Berry believes that Travis Hunter is worth one of the top picks in the draft, even if he only plays one position, but did compare him to the value that Shohei Ohtani presents for the LA Dodgers. Quote, it's a little bit like Ohtani, where when he's playing one side, he's an outstanding player, Berry said Thursday during his pre-draft news conference. Quote, if he's a pitcher, he's a hitter, he's an outstanding player. You obviously get a unicorn if you use him both ways, end quote. We also heard from Joe Shane yesterday that he would be open to playing Travis Hunter on both sides of the football. Of course, Travis Hunter himself, Joe, has stressed that desire, and not just a desire, a need. Travis Hunter saying that if I go to an NFL organization and they're not willing to play me on both offense and defense, I'll walk away from the sport. I don't need to keep playing football. Obviously, those are strong words, and I don't think a reality, but I'm sure that is a part of the conversation for Hunter with any of his likely landing spots. Cleveland being at number 2, to kind of get those words from Browns GM Andrew Berry about the unicorn value that Travis Hunter, the two-way superstar, presents. It almost only solidifies the idea, Joe, that Travis Hunter goes second overall. Now, in your scenario, you have Shedeur Sanders going third overall, the Giants trading out of that pick to allow the Saints to be aggressive, come up and get their quarterback. Lacey, let's say it goes chalk through the first 5 as we have shared, or at least the first 3, because those are very strong odds. Cam Ward minus 20,000. Travis Hunter minus 470 to go second. Abdul Carter minus 400 to go third. Do you think the Saints, knowing that no team in front of them really is in need of a quarterback, do you think New Orleans could wait at 9 to get Shedeur Sanders, or do they need to be aggressive to take fate into their own hands?
No, you have to be as aggressive as possible. You can't assume in the NFL. It's like waiting for the perfect opportunity, right? That might never come. You have to create those opportunities. You have to be aggressive to really accept your fate moving forward. If they don't do that and another team jumps them, they're dead.
So let's talk quarterbacks moving forward. And where might those potential trade spots be in the draft order a week from right now? We'll talk about it next on Football Full Circle.
There's smart
and there's not smart.
Not smart is hope as a strategy. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Keep it here
And win. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. The SportsGrid Radio Network presents This Date in Sports History.
1934, the new Fenway Park opens. The Washington Senators beat the Red Sox 6-5. And in 1951, Mickey Mantle played his first game for the New York Yankees. The Mick went 1 for 4. Mantle hit 536 career home runs and won 3 MVP awards roaming center field for the Yankees until 1968. For SportsGrid Radio, I'm Mike DeMurgis.
The Technology Minute with George Capalbo.
Polymer scientists at the American Chemical Society have invented a molecular hydrophilic coating for golf balls so that when you putt, slows the speed of the ball on lightning-fast bone-dry greens and speeds it up on wet, slow greens, making your game more predictable. Totally legal, complies with all USDA rules. Won't cure your slice because there's no aerodynamic effect. And no matter how technologically advanced your hydrophilic golf ball is, it will not solve this problem. Follow me at G Capalbo on X and stay tuned to The Technology Minute for more cool stuff like this.
The early line.
The World Baseball Classic. If I am an owner of a Major League Baseball team, my player would never see that field. AAA players, AA players, single A players, collegiate players. Can I just start my Major League Baseball season without injuries and players being in camp so they're actually ready for the season itself? Enough of this. Let the college kids play. We'll be just fine.
It's The Early Line with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific on the SportsGrid Radio Network. Wherever you go,
there you are.
Download the SportsGrid mobile app and we'll be right there with you.
So now you can get the winning edge
anywhere. Even while the wife's talking to you.
If you got an earbud.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC Andrew Berry, Browns GM, at his pre-draft news conference on this Thursday, saying he considers Travis Hunter's value much like Shohei Ohtani in baseball. He can bat, he can pitch, he won an MVP last year with the Dodgers. That when you put Travis Hunter in one spot, he can still excel, but they are open to having him play on both sides of the football. Lisi, it is interesting, not in this news conference, but previously, Andrew Berry has said the Browns view Travis Hunter primarily as a wide receiver. That's where his talent shines most in the National Football League, but would be open to him moonlighting as a DB. This is just my opinion. Having watched a lot of Travis Hunter in college football, I consider him more elite as a lockdown cornerback than I do as a very, very good and very talented wide receiver. I was almost under the assumption that whatever NFL team ended up drafting Travis Hunter, it was defense first and foremost that was his great separator and a very talented playmaker offensively second.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of think he's right. I think the offensive side of the ball, and the reason why I say that, he's got great hands. He's got great body control, right? Is he raw in terms of his route running ability? Yes. Has he gone up against exceptional talent in college in terms of deep defensive backs? Not necessarily playing at Jackson State and then transferring to Colorado. Big 12, not really a defensive-minded conference for the most part, top to bottom, right? That being said, though, look at these wide receivers, Justin Jefferson, C.D. Lamb, Jamar Chase. Right. They're similar in body type to Travis Hunter, right? And again, if you're going to take him second overall, right? Where did J.C. Horn go? 7th, 8th to Carolina a few seasons ago? Surtain went, 6th, 7th to Denver? I mean, it's possible, but again, where's the money? Where's the bang for the buck? Surtain is an elite all-pro. But again, it's the offense that really moves the needle time and time again. And I think that's what GMs are looking at. Okay, we have a two-way player. How can we utilize him and maximize the most in terms of the risk, reward, and return on investment, right? I think it's offensively with limited packages defensively, as opposed to every down on defense with limited 10 to 12 plays offensively, Ben.
Yeah, it is interesting, though, Joe, because he was a first-team All-American at corner, and he was a second-team All-American at wide receiver. Again, the numbers last year and throughout his time at Colorado offensively, sensational. 15 receiving touchdowns last year, second most in FBS college football. But in terms of what he does, taking away basically half of the field as a lockdown corner, that's really where I thought he had more value. We can talk about that at a later time. Lisa, guy, it's really interesting when you think about the quarterback conversation, right? And Shedeur Sanders. Now, I have told you, I bet Sanders at a 9-1 price to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers to be the team to draft Shedeur Sanders. It is now the second best price, only to behind the Saints at plus 400, moving in front of the Giants. Joe, I'm starting to believe that neither the Saints at number 9 overall, nor the Steelers at number 21 overall can stay put and draft Sanders in those spots. I do think we are going to see a trade move up, either earlier in the top 10 for New Orleans, maybe inside the top 5, but for the Saints, probably trying to leapfrog New Orleans with that 9th overall pick. Thus, when you think about it, Lisa guy, 4 through 8, I kind of think are up in the air, right? 4th overall, the Patriots. 5th overall, the Jaguars. 6th overall, the Raiders. 7th overall, the New York Jets. 8th overall, the Carolina Panthers. Teams that I think are looking to fill a multitude of roster spots and could use all the draft assets and capital they could potentially fill out. So if they're moving back, they're adding on an additional first rounder, a second rounder, a third rounder, whatever it might be. That's really where I think things get interesting next Thursday night. Either New Orleans or Pittsburgh, or maybe both, trying to move up in the first round to go after Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think they both have to be aggressive. They're both teams right now with two different mindsets, right? But it's the same need. For New Orleans, it's to rebuild with a new head coach and elevate, your quarterback to be. For Pittsburgh, you need a guy to plug and play immediately because it's not Aaron Rodgers and you're just going to be left waiting. So they need to be aggressive. We could talk about it after break.
And we will, because that private workout this afternoon in Boulder, Colorado has come to a close for Shedeur Sanders. Some insights from CU next.
The winning edge.
You've got it.
But not everybody has it, because not everybody listens to us.
But we're working on that.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
Progressive presents the SportsGrid Sports Flash.
Major League Baseball, it is an abbreviated slate of games today. The afternoon contest include the Diamondbacks at the Marlins, Nationals at the Pirates, Mariners at the Reds, A's at the White Sox, and the Giants at the Phillies. And then games coming up tonight: Guardians at the Orioles, Royals at the Tigers, Yankees at the Rays, Cardinals at the Mets, and the Angels in Arlington for a matchup against the Rangers. NBA play-in tournament action from yesterday. Heat knock off the Bulls 109-90. Bulls season is over. Mavericks beat the Kings 120-106 as the Kings season comes to an end. And the final games of the play-in tournament coming up on Friday: Heat at the Hawks, Mavericks at the Grizzlies. The winner will get the 8th seed in the playoff bracket. The loser will have their season come to an end.
Bundle auto and home, renters, or condo insurance and save with Progressive. I'm Matt Pauley with the SportsGrid Sports Flash.
Whether your Easter plans have you stepping out on Sunday or hosting a group at home, Macy's Easter sale has great deals on everything you'll need to celebrate. Like 50% off dressy brunch looks to level up your whole family style. And 50 to 60% off hosting must-haves, like the classic Butterfly Meadow collection from Lenox. But don't miss out, because just like an Easter egg hunt, there's so much to discover. But you gotta move quick. At Macy's Easter sale today. Savings off already reduced prices. Exclusions apply.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
You're listening to Sports Grid.
Spreading the winning edge far and wide.
Terrestrial, internet, TV, satellite, and don't forget our mobile app.
Face it.
The winning edge is everywhere.
Somewhere there's a squirrel frustrated he can't get a phone.
This is the Sports Grid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. Lisa Guy, we have talked about that one final private workout for the New York Giants today in Boulder. Of course, that is Shedeur Sanders. There are some reports that that workout is now done, and a reporter in Denver by the name of Brandon Kritzall, I apologize, Brandon, if I am mispronouncing your name, for Guerrilla Sports, was there in attendance at Boulder today and saw some of the members like Brian Daboll and Joe Shane leave the practice facility. As they have said that they heard from NYG personnel leaving this workout that it went great. Now, you would expect a private workout to go great. Does that mean the Giants are more infatuated with Shedeur Sanders at number 3 overall? Let's go to the odds market. Ever so slightly. Abdul Carter was minus 400. Now he's just minus 360. Shedeur Sanders was plus 650. He's now plus 550. I still do not expect the Giants to draft Shedeur Sanders at number 3 overall.
No, I don't either. But, you know, I would love to play poker with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, because you talk about, like, showing your hand early. And you talk about, obviously, jumping the gun or you know, getting excited. Their moves with Jameis Winston and, you know, Russell Wilson really showed their hand right from the get-go, right? You don't do that if you're pulling the trigger on Shedeur Sanders. You leave the spot open and you fill in. You let every team know that, hey, we're interested, whether we are interested or not. We don't show our hand before the fact. That's stupidity, right? You don't sign 2 veteran quarterbacks and then take a quarterback as a rookie. It just shows you're clueless and have no idea what the hell you're doing. So, you know, now, though, they're trying to dial that back. And they should, right? Because now it's like, okay, we have to try and create some sort of hype that, you know, we're interested and we're going to travel there. And it's all window dressing. I mean, at the end of the day, they would be absolutely stupid to take Shedeur Sanders. Not because I don't believe Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback or can perform in New York. That's not it. It's because the Giants are handcuffing themselves in terms of the moves that they can and cannot make for the better good of the organization moving forward. And that's all on Joe Shane, and Brian Dable is his patsy walking in the shadows as well, because it's ridiculous. These guys are absolutely clueless, and that's why they didn't win more than 5 games last year.
And it's why their win total is 5.5, and the under has the most juice on that number, equating to the worst win total of any of our 32 teams in the National Football League entering 2025. Again, I still think the Giants are going to remain at number 3. They're going to draft Abdul Carter. They already invested a lot this offseason, monetarily, notably on Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. But this one final workout, of course, will use some headlines. Again, Lisi Guy, I do expect either the Saints or the Steelers to trade up if they are targeting Shedeur Sanders. I think the Saints could potentially wait at number 9 and get Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he's going to fall past New Orleans at 9 and make his way all the way to 21 for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Also, Lisi, I think quarterbacks being an interesting part of this conversation in the opening round 1 week from today is fascinating. As we have shared, Cam Ward, minus 20,000. He's going to be that first overall pick. Shedeur Sanders, a minus 250 price to be a top 10 pick. Where and by who? We don't exactly know yet. He's going to go in the first round and fairly early in the first round as well. The first round odds for other quarterbacks, 2 of which will be in attendance in Green Bay, those are fascinating to me. Minus 700, Lisi Guy. Now the number on Jackson Dart to go in the first round. The quarterback out of Ole Miss seems like a surefire first-round pick, which would mean, Joe, almost with confidence we can say 3 QBs in round number 1 week from today.
Yeah, and where does he go then? Does he go, like if you're making the market about Jackson Dart, right? And is he up there in terms of where he could go? No, I don't see Jackson Dart on FanDuel just yet. But it's got to be New Orleans and Pittsburgh 1 and 2, right? Because if it's not, is it going to be the Rams at number 3? Is it going to be the Vikings? Who else is in the mix to reach up and grab Jackson Dart in the first round? Is it Miami? I mean, they picked 13th overall. I mean, let's call it what it is right now. And yes, Jackson Dart throws a great ball. It's pretty. It looks great. He throws that perfect spiral. He's agile. He's, the RPO game. All these things that you say, you know what? Drake May had a little bit of that, and some of the other first rounders had all that, and maybe we can channel that. It's not a knock on Jackson Dart. I got the whole Ole Miss, fan base up in an uproar a couple of days ago comparing him to Matt Corral, but I just think it's a similar skill set. If Matt Corral went in the 3rd round to Carolina, I don't think Jackson Dart is deserving of a first-round selection. Can he catch on? Absolutely. But reaching up in the top 32 to say, I need that guy, I just don't see it, Ben.
Yep, Lisi, I think we've done a really good job this offseason. Had this discussion yesterday with Scott Wetzel, highlighting the 7 of 32 teams that at some point this offseason had a large quarterback question to answer, either through the draft, free agency, or a necessary trade. I would say that 5 of those 7 will enter draft night having already made a move that for the moment seems as though they are good. The Titans pick 1. They're going to get Cam Ward. The Browns, again, although they haven't really solidified the quarterback room, there's been no indication they are interested in a QB at number 2 overall. They traded for Kenny Pickett. They signed the veteran in Joe Flacco. The Giants have signed both Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. Still the idea a quarterback could go 3rd overall to the Giants, but they have already made a move. The Raiders traded for, then extended Geno Smith. The Jets signed Justin Fields. The other 2 teams, Joe, that haven't done anything this offseason, trade, signing, or position themselves in a spot in the draft where they can control their own destiny as of this moment, the Saints and the Steelers. So if Shedeur Sanders ends up going to the Saints, or vice versa, the Steelers trade up to 4th overall with the Patriots to draft Shedeur Sanders, and the Saints are sitting there at 9. Is that where Jackson Dart goes? Let's say we don't see any more trades in the opening round. Shedeur Sanders goes number 9 overall to New Orleans. Does Jackson Dart go number 21 overall to Pittsburgh? It seems a little bit too easy, Lisi Guy, where there's not all that many opportunities in the back half of the NFL draft that are the opening round at the very least, where you would expect Jackson Dart to go. Last year, we saw 6 quarterbacks go in the top 12. There was a ton of need at the quarterback spot in a historic NFL draft for QBs. This year, quite the opposite.
Yeah, and again, so let me ask you this. If it plays out just the way it happened, like you said, where Pittsburgh gets Jackson Dart, is their win total still 8.5? I'd sell that in a heartbeat because, it's not like this is the defense of Bill Cowher and Mike Tomlin when they won Super Bowls. This defense is suspect, and you're not going to win 9 games, I'm sorry, with Mason Rudolph or Jackson Dart at the helm. I just don't see it. So if that's the recipe, I think they knock down that win total to 7.5, and that's what you were hoping on, Pittsburgh, when you had Justin Fields and Russell Wilson. Oh, we'll be all right. We'll get Mason Rudolph back, and we'll draft Jackson Dart. And kumbaya, we're going to go all the way to an AFC championship title. Are you kidding me? Is that where they're at? You can't tell me the organization, Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, are sitting in the draft room right now saying that's the guy that'll take us to the promised land. If it wasn't Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, it's not going to be Jackson Dart in year number 1.
Yeah, and Joe, I think we've heard from a lot of draft analysts that Jackson Dart, maybe even Shedeur Sanders, but Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck, 3, 4, and 5 in terms of the quarterback class as we see it, are very far off from the top 2 guys. It's not like the jam-packed 6 that we had in the top 12 of the NFL draft last year. Some final draft conversations and college football news next.
We're not saying every SportsGrid listener is a legend, but you might start thinking about who's going to play you in the movie.
Just saying.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network.
With the SportsGrid News Flash, I'm Trey Westerberg. Measles cases have continued to surge in Texas since the outbreak first began in late January. State health officials reported 561 confirmed cases across 23 counties on Tuesday. Cases in Gaines County, the center of the outbreak in West Texas, jumped from 355 to 364. An airplane engine burst into flame after reportedly striking an animal on departure from Denver International Airport, prompting pilots to make an emergency landing over the weekend. The FAA says the United Airlines flight bound for Canada landed safely Sunday without reports of any injuries. Eric and Lyle Menendez could learn this week whether they'll get reduced sentences nearly 30 years after they were convicted of murdering their parents. A Los Angeles judge will preside over the resentencing hearing. If the judge shortens their sentences, the brothers would still need approval from the state parole board to get out of prison. I'm Trey Westerberg with the SportsGrid News Flash.
You know what's better than a limited time deal? An unlimited time deal. That's why the Wendy's $5 biggie bag with a junior bacon cheeseburger, 4-piece nugs, junior hot and crispy fries, and small soft drink is available all the time. Because the best time for fresh, never frozen beef and Applewood smoked bacon is all the time. Duh. I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. For the best deal of all time, gotta be Wendy's.
Unlimited time does not mean forever. U.S. price and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, and California and via third-party delivery. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S., Alaska, and Canada.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free.
I went hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins.
Join the millions of people who are celebrating going hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins. Footwear you just step into and they're on.
It's crazy how something as simple as a pair of shoes have made my life better.
After trying Skechers Slip-ins, I want all my shoes to have this technology.
See what everybody can't stop talking about. Go hands-free with Skechers Slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
Ask any player and they'll tell you any advantage is important.
That's where we come in.
SportsGrid delivers gaming strategies and analysis 7 days a week.
The winning edge.
It's your advantage to more winning
more often.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, FFC, 1 week out from the 2025 NFL Draft. More draft conversations tomorrow. And, of course, for the next 3 days that we are here, 4 days that we are here on FFC, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, ahead of the opening round. Lisi guy, we're talking quarterbacks right now in the 2025 NFL Draft. And just to point out what you said about the Steelers, Mike Tomlin, Arthur Smith, sitting there in the draft room trying to figure out who the face of the franchise is at the QB spot. You would think that if they had made their mind up on Jackson Dart, being the guy to lead them into the future, to take a first-round pick and use that on a QB to try to change around this organization, we would have known of that for a very, very long time. But this is really only starting to build in the last week. I don't think the Steelers are in love with sitting there at 21st overall and drafting a quarterback. Again, I think if Pittsburgh ends up going QB in the opening round, they're trading up to get Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, again, you would think pure pocket passer, right? They didn't really utilize the RPO game with Justin Fields towards the end of the regular season like they should have, right? So Russell Wilson is mobile, but not anywhere near his days in terms of Seattle. They need a quarterback that could get the football to DK Metcalf and George Pickens, two elite wide receivers that have huge size, 6'3", 6'4", respectively, 200-plus pounds, and can out-jump any defender possibly there. That's Shedeur Sanders. I honestly believe that. It's Cam Ward as well, but they have no shot to get him. I guess the question, too, is if we're looking at who would get Shedeur Sanders, right? Meaning if Pittsburgh's got to give up a lot, though, Ben, to get in front of New Orleans. What are they giving up? That's the question. Like that's why when you ask me who's going to get him, I think it's New Orleans because they don't have to move all that much, right? 9 to potentially 3 is a lot cheaper, right? Or it doesn't cost you maybe as much capital as going from number 21 to top 5. I mean, what are they giving up? They would have to give up Cam Hayward, T.J. Watt, something, 3 number ones. What is Pittsburgh willing to give up to get their quarterback?
Yeah, that would be a great question, Joe. Because if you're moving up to try to get in front of the Saints at number 9 overall, you have to find a trade partner, and you've got to give up some draft capital. Is that multiple day 2 picks this year? Is that your first rounder next year? There could be a lot at stake for the Steelers come exactly 1 week from now. We'll talk more other positions outside of the QBs tomorrow as we discuss the NFL draft. But of course, Joe, big week in college football as well. Yesterday, the spring transfer portal window opened up for the next 9 days as of this Thursday. And of course, a ton of focus on one QB above all else. That's Nico Iamaleava, who of course became the story over the weekend, did not show up for spring practice on Friday ahead of Tennessee's spring game on Saturday. Josh Heupel and the Volunteers made the decision to move on from Iamaleava. He is now in the transfer portal. There were reports yesterday that he had signed with UCLA, but nothing has been made official for Nico Iamaleava to end up in Westwood. Still a lot to be figured out. It would be presumed, Lacey Guy, for Nico and his track record moving forward in the transfer portal.
Thanks, Dad. That's what he should tell him, right? Thanks a lot. Well, it's almost like the Dr. Evil of college football. Why have $2 million when you could have $1 million at UCLA? If they even give them that. I mean, it's crazy, right?
Right.
But that's the situation. We saw Tulane back out. And that's the other thing. If you're Tulane, the family and Nico need to realize they're not bucking up $4 million to lure you to Louisiana and play for the Green Wave. It's all well and good, but their other quarterback is now in greener pastures as well. I mean, they didn't give him the money, Metra, and he bolted, right? So what's his name? Number 10, the kid that
Darian
bolted.
Mensa. Darian Mensa.
Mensa. Yeah, but that's the thing. So how many schools outside of UCLA, if he doesn't sign on the dotted line, is he going to be happy too? Is he going to sit out a year? Is his career over? What happens? Does he take a step down in FCS? Because it was all about the money. You were on a contender, and now you don't have the money. You lose, basically what? $1 million, $1.5 million for the next 3 years. That's potentially $4 million net. And where are you going? Your career could be scarred for the rest of your life. Bad move all around. But again, this is the state of college football. Tennessee did the right thing, and some of these other schools. But the gurus saying, oh, you know what? I don't blame the kids. Yes, you do. You have to blame the kids and the people in their ear, the agents, the family. You have to look at things realistically. You can't,
right.
Comparing Nico to Carson Beck, too, is absolutely ridiculous. Carson Beck won 29 of basically 30 games. Can we stop? We're talking about a quarterback that elevated his team to almost come on. Let's pump the brakes. Do we watch college football or not?
Yeah, it's a good point, Lacey guy. I do hear what you mean. I do believe it is a fascinating scenario, of course. Nico's family has tried to control the narrative, saying it's not about the money. It was never about the money. It's about the offensive scheme that Josh Heupel runs in Knoxville that doesn't translate to the NFL, which is a bunch of malarkey, of course. It was the same offensive scheme that Heupel has run for the last multiple years. Certainly when Nico Iamaleava signed for $2.4 million out of high school, and last year when he was a starting quarterback for Tennessee, and early this offseason when he was going to be the presumed starter.
Hendon Hooker.
Sure.
He did. He lit it up. Crazy.
Both got drafted. And Nico Iamaleava has not proven he is better than any of those guys just yet. Obviously, it is about the money. It is still about the money. And, Joe, that's why we got conflicting reports. Because Colin Cowherd was the guy to tweet out that UCLA had contacted him, or through sources, he had heard that Nico Iamaleava had signed with UCLA. Then we heard from Chris Lowe of ESPN, who was an actual college football reporter, who said that's not the case right now. The deal is not done because the NIL money is not fully there. It's close, but it's not quite. We'll continue the conversation up next here on Football Full Circle on SportsGrid Radio.
Luck is winning the lottery. Strategy is settling your divorce before cashing in the ticket.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Get the winning edge. This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. SportsGrid TV and radio networks are the premier streaming video and audio channel dedicated to serving the sports wagering audience. Found on major smart TV platforms and streaming on SportsGrid Radio and SiriusXM Channel 159. SportsGrid's real-time data, expert commentary, and entertaining analysis transform viewers into informed sports enthusiasts. Our weekday radio lineup begins with the early line at 8 a.m. Eastern with Ben Stevens and Donnie Rightside. Donnie joins Kevin Walsh on Money Line at 11 a.m. Eastern, followed by Football Full Circle at noon Eastern. Kaplan and crew join the party at 1 p.m. Eastern, and Pharrell Coast to Coast keeps things rolling from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Get in the mix with Kevin Walsh and Game Time Decisions at 6 p.m. Eastern. Evenings simmer with Carver and Lisi, then boils over with Gabe Moritzi on Sports Rage Late Night at 10 p.m. Eastern. To find out where to find SportsGrid that's best for you, go to sportsgrid.com. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Imagine combining the exciting investment opportunity of cryptocurrencies with the power of artificial intelligence to maximize your IRA, 401k, or other investment funds. Listen, if you're looking for ways to accelerate your retirement growth, Block Trust IRA has market-leading strategies and solutions for all levels of investors, from $1,000 to millions. And they partner with Bitcoin Magazine's #1 crypto trading fund in the world to maximize your returns. Plus, their team of IRA specialists is here to help you roll over your IRA or qualified retirement account to the new world of cryptocurrency investments. So make this free call right now to set up your account and learn more.
800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. 800-434-5313. That's 800-434-5313.
Think of us as your cool roommate that has this innate gift of somehow always picking winners and never bugs you about doing the dishes or paying rent. Sports gaming strategies and information 24/7.
Get the winning edge.
This is the SportsGrid Radio Network. You're listening to Football Full Circle with Joe Lisi and Ben Stevens.
Live right here on Football Full Circle, it is FFC. So we have contradictory reports on if Nico Iamaleava is actually the next quarterback of the UCLA Bruins. And by the way, Joe, of course, a new scheme at UCLA. Eric Bieniemy is out under head coach Deshaun Foster, who took over in the late portion of the offseason last year for when Chip Kelly bolted to become Ohio State's quarterback. And of course, Chip Kelly now the OC of the Las Vegas Raiders. A lot of moving parts. But you know who already signed in Westwood in the initial transfer portal window? Joey Aguilar, who was the quarterback the last couple of years at Appalachian State. And new OC in Westwood is Tino Sunseri, who was the quarterback coach for a long time under Curt Cignetti at Indiana and James Madison. He is yet to be a full-time OC in college football. Lisi, I'm not entirely sure if Yame Leava ends up at UCLA, but what is becoming very apparent is he is not going to receive the NIL deal he had with Tennessee in the first place. He is certainly not getting close to the reported $4 million he was asking for in that pay bump.
No. And again, let's look at the scheme. I mean, you look at the scheme with Deshaun Foster at the helm last year for UCLA, a very inept offense at times, right? Struggled to move the football. And to your point, with a new OC, new talent, and Joey Aguilar is a very good quarterback. He's mobile. He threw for, multiple touchdowns in multiple games, almost led the upset over North Carolina. Was it last year or a couple of years ago? Played well against elite competition. And again, he's going to challenge for that starting role. If you're asking me from the betting perspective, who do you have more confidence in, Joey Aguilar or Nico? I would say Joey Aguilar in a second. The kid's blue collar. Give me that guy over Nico that just wants money. And if you're looking about the betterment of your career, why not then go or try to take your talent to a pass-happy offense that chucks it 50, 60 times a game?
Yeah, we haven't got any official confirmation on what Nico Iamaleava is doing at this moment. Some reports say he's at UCLA. Others say that nothing has been confirmed just yet. I guess we'll await for official confirmation. It is a sign of the times in college football. Spring transfer portal window up until April 25th, 1 week from tomorrow. Again, it's a crazy time. Joe, you've got guys at Wisconsin under Luke Fickell for his second full year. Second full year for Fickell, right? Yeah, second full year for Luke Fickell that signed with the Badgers back in the winter. Guys like Mark Hamper, the wide receiver transfer from Idaho, more notably Tanner Koziel, who came over from Ball State, who signed with the Badgers in the winter, are back in the transfer portal in the spring. We've got 2 free agency periods within a 4-month calendar window before a new season has even been played. Again, the comparisons to professional sports are not fair. There aren't 2 free agency windows in the NFL. There's where free agency starts, and if you sign with a team, you play with that team in that upcoming season before you can even look to break a contract or get cut or released the following offseason. Again, the Wild West is not a good enough way to describe this system. It is a system that finally needs some checks and balances, but we're far away from getting that.
Yeah, but the good news is that at least the NCAA got in front of the injury protocol in football games. They're going to charge teams with a timeout, but they can't get ahead of the transfer portal that is ripping the game from the inside out and ripping programs and making coaches' lives absolutely miserable. And not just that, fan bases. You buy in, think about the fans that are dedicated to, their university or their program, big time, season boosters, and season ticket holders. You get a 5-star recruit. He's not even there for a year now in some of these schools with the way. But that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody gets hurt, right? Even the fans and people think and analysts think the fans don't matter. You're absolutely crazy because the fans are what fuels, the mantra for college football and the viewership. Without the fans, you have nothing. You might as well have volleyball or water polo. I mean, let's call it what it is.
You know who always put the beauty and the pageantry of college football first and foremost? Lee Corso. It was announced today that Lee Corso, after 38 years on College Game Day, has one final show, week number 1, August 30th for College Game Day, before the old ball coach is set to retire, a college football icon that Lisi and I adore. Joe Lisi, I'll miss you tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Football Full Circle returns tomorrow, noon Eastern time, right here on SportsGrid Radio.
Now you've done it.
You found the advantage for gaming, odds, and more. But we call it the winning edge